Live from the Washington, D.C. area, it's the Inside Scoop, Emerald Planet. All the ecology news that our viewers want to know. Now, here's your host, Executive Director of the Emerald Planet, Dr. Sam Lee Hancock.
Hello and welcome to the Emerald Planet as we come to you from Washington, D.C. and the United States, looking around the globe in 143 different nations, looking for those 1,000 best practices, the technologies, the services, and the products that are making a difference as we move through the 21st century. As we head towards 2050, what is it that we're going to be doing? How are we going to deal with 9 billion souls on the planet? And how we're going to engage these people in many ways to try to take care of themselves. So through volunteerism and commitments to their local communities, they can get involved. We have two people with us from the Kiwanis International that are here with us, and they're going to be telling us a little bit about Kiwanis International. And then we'll be talking about some of their special projects that are be going on through the next century, actually, as we move to eliminate various diseases around the globe. Sitting right beside me is Carolyn Richard, who is the District Governor of Kiwanis International in the Capital District. We have Brian Eager, who is the President-elect of the Kiwanis Club of Washington, D.C., and welcome to both of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Glad to have you here. And I haven't had anyone from Kiwanis on, so I'm glad to have you.
Glad to be the first.
It's a fantastic organization. You're doing much good, and you truly are global.
Yes.
So looking at it, Carolyn, what you're doing, tell us a little bit about what is Kiwanis International.
Sure. Kiwanis International is a group of people committed to changing our world, one child, one community at a time. So we look to say, in our local communities, as well as what can we do that reaches out around the world to make this world a better place. We've chosen over the past 15 years to focus our efforts on children.
I think it's absolutely fantastic, and I like that motto.
Yeah. One
child, one community at a time. That's incredible. Let's bring up the, I guess we do have our first slide up. This is your international headquarters, I believe. Yes. And let's go right through as far as what is going on as far as the comparison with other civic-minded organizations. Sure. There are a number of groups that are very involved in reaching out to the world. So tell us how you compare to that.
Right. Well, there are a number of service groups around the world, but ours, we feel, is differentiated because we really focus in on service leadership, on how do we teach children from first grade, kindergarten actually, on up through college, young adults, how do we teach them to become leaders in their own communities? How do we teach them to become servant leaders, to reach out to the people in their community most in need and meet those needs? Well,
and also, too, something we'll be talking about later in the entire program is actually you're involved with children before they're even born.
Yes, that's true, too.
It's prenatal as far as education and also health care, and that's something that's very important. Brian, looking at you being a local or incoming president-elect in the area, what are some of the obligations and responsibilities that you have as far as that job is concerned?
Sure, absolutely. I'm responsible for being the Chief Executive Officer for our local Kiwanis Club, and that I oversee our Board of Directors as well as our Executive Officers, and ultimately make sure that our programs are being implemented effectively and in the interests of children in the communities that we serve.
So Carolyn is the district governor.
Right.
You'll be the incoming president. So what is the difference between incoming president and what you're doing as far as what Carolyn is doing from your perspective as a district governor?
Sure. Carolyn is responsible for setting the strategic vision for the district, which includes Washington, D.C., as well as Virginia, Maryland, and Delaware, and is responsible for setting the overarching goals that she would like to see the local clubs pursue during their terms as president. And so it's my responsibility to see that our goals align with Carolyn's goals as we try to further our efforts in the most efficient way possible.
I think that's fantastic. And Carolyn, looking at the benefits to the members themselves, we're always looking at volunteerism and what they're taking into the community and how they enhance the local community. But what are some of the benefits of people actually joining and being an active member of Kiwanis International?
I joined as a college freshman, And
that was just a few years ago,
just a
right?
few years ago. And my life was changed because of my membership in the K family. Not only the education, the leadership we've talked about, but the friends I've made, the lifelong friends I've made, and the opportunity to follow my own passions. I work with a clinic in El Salvador. I go down usually on an annual basis, help found this medical clinic, free clinic down in El Salvador. Kiwanis has embraced that in this area. My Kiwanis Club helps support it. They help bring up, collect donations for me in terms of medical supplies to get down there, children's vitamins. So that ability to take what's most important to you and follow that with a group of other people and change the world.
Well, Brian, looking at that, it's obvious that you're really grassroots. You're reaching into the community, identifying those needs. So how does that, once you identify those needs, how does that translate back into your club, to the district, and then to Kiwanis International itself?
Sure, absolutely. Every year we lay out our projects that our club will pursue. We develop them through our strategic planning initiatives as well as through our budgets. And so we have committees that are then appointed that are responsible for making sure that the goals and the service projects are carried out in accordance to those documents.
So looking at that, how do you engage the members of your club? That's something that's very important. I know that one of the things that you do really is leadership training and expand the leadership skills, because people that join, that want to commit, actually are probably leaders already in their communities, but they need to be enhanced. How do you do that within your club?
Absolutely. We strive to provide everyone in our club the opportunity to have a leadership position in some fashion, be it them organizing a small-scale project, or perhaps being in charge of a committee, or maybe even working with our Circle K Club at George Washington University, or our Key Club at Wilson Senior High School in DC. These are all opportunities that allow individuals to experiment in an environment where it's safe for them to push themselves in effectively leading others and or inspiring others toward a certain goal.
Well, and then Carolyn, you know, if there's not a sound base at the lower level with the members and then the clubs themselves, nothing really is going to get done as far as Kiwanis International. So how do you translate that back up through the district and all the way through the leadership structure to the central headquarters?
We've worked hard to provide as much education, sounds very formal, but as much support and help to the clubs. That's our whole role as a district. So we have certified leadership education programs that we do to help incoming leaders know how to be a good leader.
Now, when you say certified, what do you mean by certified? I haven't heard that one before.
We actually have to go through training. We have to audition, we have to pass tests, we have to go through training to become a certified instructor.
So there's actually certificates and recognition for that?
Yes, there definitely is. And it helps even in your work life to be able to say, I've received this training, I know how to put together projects, that I know how to organize groups of people to work together.
So this is something that people can come into Kiwanis International, come into a club like where Brian is, go through the training, and then that actually they can take the documentation and back to their workplace, and that could go for their future promotions or raises or what have you then. That's absolutely incredible. Looking at what are some of the one or two of the major projects of Kiwanis International over the years that you're really proud of, you like to share with people, and it's really a signature of the organization?
Well, certainly the signature program is what we call Service Leadership Program, but our outreach to Key Clubs in the high schools, Circle K in the college, middle schools, Builders Club, that's a huge one. We've talked a bit about that. You'll hear more, I know, in some of the future segments. But the other one is our Worldwide Service Project, and our current one is to eliminate maternal neonatal tetanus. Several years ago, we worked on eliminating iodine deficiency disorder. We built salt plants around the world to eliminate that. Now we're working on...
So you were actually involved in physical infrastructure within local communities around the globe in something as basic as salt, which, you know, most people in North America would think that's, you know, why do you need that? But there are many communities that really do have a deficit as far as salt.
Exactly, and we formed a wonderful partnership now with UNICEF to eliminate maternal neonatal tetanus. It was in 42 countries when we started this program. We're now down to 35, I believe.
Is that right?
A child died every 9 minutes. It died every 6 minutes when we started this program. It's now every 9 minutes. So it's,
and so you're really just aggressively going after this, because, you know, a few minutes doesn't sound like much, but in the global sphere of that, that's huge.
Yes.
And so your whole thing is that you want to eliminate this tetanus, you know, around the globe then.
Exactly. It's an excruciating death for an infant that none of us would want to see. If we can eliminate that, if we can provide to those families that chance to go forward, having their family intact, what a wonderful gift.
Well, Brian, you're learning much. You're gaining excellent skills as far as a leader's concerned. It's now in your workplace, in your home life, in the community. What are you going to do to stay involved, and how do you see future involvement beyond president of your club? What's next?
I think for me, I plan to continue to use my leadership talents and skills in other community-based organizations in Washington, and perhaps even on a regional level as well. I think Kiwanis has been one of the greatest experiences I've had. Like Carolyn, I participated from my freshman year in high school and have remained committed to the organization since that time. And we'll always look for opportunities to be around people that care as much as I do and that are interested in inspiring and motivating our youth to do amazing things.
Well, Carol, I know you're very involved at the district level, and being a district governor is that's your job, and also, by the way, you have a regular job that provides a paycheck, so I understand that system. But what do you see for Kiwanis International over the next 20, 30 years as we move towards 2050?
One of the exciting things, the changes that I've seen happen is we used to be a very business network-oriented community organization. Now we are a hands-on service organization, and I think the ability to help reach out beyond even the 250,000 members we have now to grow. And to say, 250,000 members around the world is a lot, but there are billions of people that could become involved in community service. So to be able to extend that outreach, increase the amount of people doing hands-on service in their own local communities.
Brian, looking at that hands-on public service, what is the #1 project that you yourself have been involved in, and why did it mean so much to you?
Our club is very proud. For the past 3 years, we've sponsored what we call a Kiwanis Fitness Field Day in local high schools in DC. And it's a program that I'm proud of, in that it is probably one of the most hands-on activities that occurs on such a large scale within the District of Columbia, and that it focuses on teaching students how to eat properly, how to engage in fitness activities, but also teaches them how it can be fun and that it's worthwhile. It's something I look forward to every year, and it's something that's actually attracted a lot of members to our club and has also helped us build and leverage additional partnerships with organizations with similar goals.
Carolyn, looking at where Kiwanis is going, the tetanus, that's your signature project right now. What is going to be the next project as we move towards 2050?
I'm lobbying for working on child hunger. Children are hungry around the world. I think we can help resolve that.
Well, fantastic. Well, it's good to have both of you here from Kiwanis International. Carolyn Richer is the district governor, Kiwanis International Capital District, and then Brian Eager, who is the president-elect, Kiwanis Club of Washington, D.C. And we'd like to thank you for being with us as the Emerald Planet comes to you, looking around the globe to create the Emerald Planet.
I need a job.
Necesito trabajo.
I would like to speak English better.
Me gustaría hablar inglés mejor.
I want to be a U.S. citizen.
Quisiera ser ciudadano de los Estados Unidos.
For over 35 years,
Por más de 35 años,
the Hispanic Committee of Virginia has been serving our community.
el Comité Hispano de Virginia ha estado sirviendo a nuestra comunidad.
Job training and placement,
Capacitación, ayuda para conseguir trabajo,
education for children and adults,
educación para niños y adultos,
immigration, naturalization, and medical referrals.
ayuda para los procesos de inmigración y naturalización y orientación sobre médicos
Are a small part of what we do.
son solo una pequeña parte de lo que hacemos.
For help, information, or to volunteer,
Para ayuda, información o para ofrecerse como voluntario,
contact the Hispanic Committee of Virginia,
comuníquese con el Comité Hispano de Virginia,
helping everyone participate more fully in American society.
ayudando a todos a participar plenamente en la sociedad norteamericana.
Hey Lena, where's yours?
Would you notice if you were missing half your kidney function? According to the National Kidney Foundation, 20 million people have chronic kidney disease, and 20 million more may be at risk and not even know it. Anyone with high blood pressure, diabetes, or family history of chronic kidney disease is at risk. Early diagnosis is vitally important. To get the whole story, talk to your doctor and visit the National Kidney Foundation at kidney.org or call for a free brochure. Because when it comes to chronic kidney disease, you might not know the half.
We're back to the Inside Scoop Emerald Planet. Here again, your host, Dr. Sam.
Hello and welcome to the Emerald Planet as we come to you from Washington, D.C. in the United States, looking around the globe in 143 different nations, looking for the technologies, the services, and the products, and the people that are making a difference as we move towards 2050. We're adding about 2 billion people over these next few years. And so many people are saying that we're already overcrowded. We can't take care of the ones that are here. Yet it looks like 2 billion more are going to be with us. So how are we going to take care of the health needs, the education, the basic infrastructure that's needed? And a lot of this actually comes through volunteer organizations, many of them established in the United States. Yet there are a number of countries around the globe that have volunteer opportunities, and so these are really jumping in and making a difference as they had in the 20th century as we move through the 21st century. And we have a very special project that we're going to be talking about, and we're calling it a national and international model program. This is through Kiwanis International. Right beside me is Marilyn Franklin. She is the Division I coordinator of what's called the Eliminate Project. And then sitting beside her, and one I've been working very closely with for this television program, is April Gassler, who is the Eliminate Project Coordinator for the Kiwanis Club of Washington, D.C. So welcome, ladies, to the program.
Well, thank you for having us.
Glad to have you here. Kiwanis International, well known, reaching out to millions around the globe. So that's very, very important. So Marilyn, what's a Division I of Kiwanis?
Well, Kiwanis is broken down into regions, and then from there it's broken into divisions. And in our, we're Division I. We're the capital district, but we're Division I. And in our division, there are 12 clubs in the Washington, D.C., Maryland area that make up Division I.
So you have a responsibility for those 12 clubs then?
Exactly.
Now, what do you have to do with these 12 clubs?
We have to recruit club coordinators to get the word out and explain the Eliminate Project, as well as keep them abreast of the progress that the international team is making regarding where we are in our fundraising, as well as in our education projects of teaching and educating everyone about the project and where we are in the process.
Well, I must say, you know, I'm an active Rotarian. I'm going to throw a little plug in for my group. And how that we were able to meet with April is that you showed up and talked about your project, the Eliminate Project. And it sounds really intriguing. So what is the Eliminate? Usually most people are trying to add things, yes, and you're trying to get rid of something. So what is it you're trying to get rid of?
Well, you know, everyone is familiar with the disease tetanus, and every time someone gets a cut here in America where we've got very good health care, you know, they tell you go to the hospital and get a tetanus shot. And unfortunately, that is not available to people in many countries across the globe. And so there are currently 31 countries where tetanus is an endemic, and the situation arises where children get tetanus at birth and they die very quickly after birth because of unsafe birthing practices. And so what Kiwanis is trying to do is to eliminate that maternal and neonatal tetanus endemic that's present in our remaining 31 countries in partnership with UNICEF. Now, tetanus is something that's very dangerous. It is fatal and excruciating, as I understand it, and as I've traveled to 79 different countries, one of the things I always do is make sure my tetanus shot is current, because what you don't take care of can hurt you. But tell us, what is the impact, Marilyn, of tetanus? How does that affect the human body? You can start with babies if you like, but also adults. And then we're going to talk about something called $1.80. Okay, so what's tetanus and how does that affect you?
Tetanus is a disease that is transferred from the mother to the baby at the birthing time. And it is a very painful disease that the mother and the baby experience. And they die pretty immediately from the
So both the baby and the mother die?
Yes.
Really?
Yes,
oh
yes,
my goodness.
yes. So therefore the significance of the immunization is it protects the mother as well as her future babies.
Yeah, that's incredible, and I understand it's excruciating and not a pretty sight for anyone that's involved. And of course, the one thing we know, as far as our major project has been elimination of polio. And every time you have one polio victim, you're really almost taking the whole family out of the mainstream as far as the economy is concerned, contributions within the community. So your work is huge as far as what you're doing. So you're to be commended.
Thank you.
Looking at April, what is the $1.80?
Well, the $1.80 is what we've estimated is the cost for each person we protect from maternal and neonatal tetanus. And that $1.80 doesn't just cover the cost of the vaccines that we're distributing. It also covers the cost of paving roads to remote villages and bringing in medical staff that can train the local people about safe birthing practices so that tetanus isn't transmitted during the birthing process. And then also delivering the vaccines to the women of childbearing age so that those vaccines protect the mothers. And then it also transfers the immunity to their children for the first 2 months of their life so that they don't contract tetanus during their birthing, during the first weeks of their life.
That's an incredible project. And you're actually looking at roads, but I understand you're doing more than that. It's about wells and basic infrastructure that you need, I guess, particularly in like the slum areas of major cities and the very rural areas. So when you look at $1.80, people are going to say, how can $1.80 cover roads and wells and all these other things? And so what is this aggregate? What is the investment that you're looking at, April, for this?
For the project worldwide, the total investment is $240 million, and Kiwanis has pledged to raise $110 million of that amount. So we will be the single largest donor contributing to this project.
And you're working with UNICEF.
We are.
Now this is big news when you have a organization like yourself. UNICEF is globally famous, comes through the United Nations. But tell us how you set up this relationship, Marilyn, as far as Kiwanis International and UNICEF.
Well, back in 2011, Kiwanis did a search for a service project, and in Las Vegas, they announced that they decided to partner with UNICEF on eliminating maternal neonatal tetanus. And that's where it was launched, and in Geneva was when the project was actually kicked off, and we began this journey with UNICEF.
Yeah, and then having that with all the districts and the zones and all that. But looking at your own club, because you're in the Kiwanis Club of Washington, D.C., which is like the national capital club that we have for Rotary, and very important. How does that impact what you're doing, your programming, involvement of the members, and recruiting volunteers?
It all goes hand in hand. People are motivated to serve by different passions, and one way that the Eliminate Projects helps us is we connect with people who have a passion for serving children, people who have a passion for health issues, people who have a passion for maternal and child connections, and the Eliminate Project, being one of our champion projects, helps us recruit new members. In addition to that, we're working to educate our existing members about the project, and because a lot of people just don't understand that it's out there. So educate people about the project and then use that as a grassroots motivation for our fundraising efforts.
Marilyn, looking at the healthcare facilities that we have in the region, the hospitals, the clinics, all the medical infrastructure as far as education and physicians and nurses and all that. How are you reaching out through your 12 clubs to involve all this massive infrastructure so that this in turn then goes into these various countries where you're working?
A lot of it is from the grassroots level, but what we do is we reach out to the hospitals. We at Capitol Hill, the Capitol Hill Club, it's working with Howard University Hospital and trying to explain to them what the project is about. And we're trying to develop strategic partnerships along with different organizations, businesses, health facilities, and create partnerships to help us meet our goal of eliminating maternal neonatal tetanus by 2015.
Now, Howard University is very famous. People here know about it, but this is a global television program. Where's Howard University? And give us just a short history of Howard, because it's very unique.
Howard University is in Washington, D.C., And the hospital is a major hospital in the Washington, D.C. area that service a lot of the public and private members that come to their hospital for services. But it is a very historic hospital, and it's been around for years, and it does great work.
Yeah, it goes back to, what, the 1870s or something like that. It has a very, very long history. Looking at what you're doing, April, with your club, the Kiwanis Club of Washington, D.C., in reaching out, and how do you take care or to recruit, I guess is the better term, these local resources that will help your club so that you're actually leveraging the energy, the resources, and the members of the Kiwanis Club of Washington, D.C.?
It's really just about making connections with people and explaining the project to them. I think that, you know, as human beings, we can all appreciate the pain that a mother would go through watching her infant die, where the infant is sensitive to light, sensitive to touch, and she can't hold or comfort her baby. And if you explain this to people, I think that everybody wants to help once they hear about it. So it's just a matter of making connections with people, telling the story about the Eliminate Project, and then, you know, engaging their passion to help.
That's incredible. Marilyn, what is some of the goals that you have for 2015, 2020, 2025, 2030? We keep stretching out through the 21st century.
On the international level, we're going to celebrate the major accomplishment of eliminating maternal neonatal tetanus in 2015, when Kiwanis International celebrates its 100th year. So we have
that's a connection to 2015.
Yes, a 100-year celebration coming up in 2015 for Kiwanis International. And then to go further along with it, we plan to stay with the program and continue whether there be follow-up services that are required. And then we're going back to the table with UNICEF. And the thing about this project, it seems simple, easy to do, and all we need to do is get the word out that $1.80 will help save a mother and her future babies. And we take that here in the United States and compare that to a latte or a cup of coffee. How many lives can you save if you just give up one cup of coffee a day?
And actually be much better for all of our health.
Exactly.
And it would eliminate a lot of things in our lives that probably need to be talking about. But we have just a few seconds left. April, what do you see as the Eliminate Project? How's it going to change the world by 2050?
By 2050?
2050.
By 2050.
I'm taking you across the horizon now.
Well, I think that we're going to have a future generation of strong, healthy children who have had the benefit of, you know, not struggling through childhood, having proper health care, and they're going to grow up to change their world.
That's absolutely fantastic. What a great answer. That's the right answer, right, Marilyn?
Great answer.
Marilyn Franklin, the Division I coordinator for the Eliminate Project. April Gassler, who is the Eliminate Project Coordinator for the Kiwanis Club of Washington, D.C. Thank you for being with us. And thank you, dear viewers, for being with us as we look around the globe for this best practice as we create the Emerald Planet.
Art, a universal language, an expression of culture, of self. And now, thanks to Empowered Women International, a way for emerging and established immigrant and refugee artists and artisans to find hope to earn a living while enriching the lives of all of us. Empowered Women International, making a better America every day. For more information on Empowered Women International's educational programs or to make a tax-free donation, contact CFRIP at AOL.com.
Here, kitty, kitty. Here, kitty, kitty, kitty. Here, kitty, kitty.
You'd think it would be easy to tell which kids have trouble with their eyesight. But that's not always the case. Even though 1 in 4 children may have a vision problem, eye doctors tell us the symptoms aren't always so obvious. We do know that 80% of all childhood learning is visual. And without good vision, kids can have trouble learning to read. and may fall behind in school. For clues on how to spot the real-life signs of childhood vision problems and what parents can do, visit checkyearly.com. A public service message from the Vision Council of America and Reading is Fundamental.
We're back to the Inside Scoop Emerald Planet. Here again, your host, Dr. Sam.
Welcome to the Emerald Planet as we come to you and looking around the globe in 143 different nations, looking for the best practices that are making a difference as we move through the 2050s. And looking at 2050, we have 9 billion souls on the planet, and we're looking at now 7 billion and how we're taking care of them and the needs that they have, healthcare, education, and the basic infrastructure. So what's going to be done as we move to 2050 to make sure that we're actually changing and bringing an increased quality of life to all these new people that will be joining us on the planet? We have people from TVIS International that are wrestling with this idea, taking care of looking at how we're going to move forward and how we're going to actually impact in a positive way all these different people. So I have Joseph Risa, he goes by Joe. He's a past president, and Cindy Christ, who is the club president of the Kiwanis Club of Washington, D.C., and welcome both of you.
Thank you so much for having us.
Glad to have you here. You're doing absolutely great work. And Cindy, looking at it as the club president, what are some of your projects, your obligations as the president of the club?
Well, to continue the good works that we started since our founding in 1917. We have projects that fall generally under 3 categories, all serving the youth of the Washington area. We focus on youth health, youth smiles, and youth leadership.
All right, let's go to that again. Youth health, youth smiles, and youth leadership.
Youth health, of course, would involve the Eliminate Project. We have a global impact with that. But one of our oldest, largest projects is an orthopedic clinic that we have run since 1924, which was started to help children with juvenile polio. Today, we work in conjunction with wonderful volunteers at Georgetown University Hospital and have a clinic that serves children who maybe due to financial need, to lack of insurance or complex medical problems. We provide orthopedic services to those children. So that's something we've done for decades.
Well, this is really amazing what you're talking about, Cindy, the fact that you have volunteers, you have officers that are changing every year, and yet you have projects that go back almost 100 years to reach into communities to do that. That's absolutely amazing.
Thank you so much. You know, heard from Brian Egger earlier, and he talked about the Field Day Project being one that really inspires his passions. It's a newer project, and so we start projects based on what our members want to do, but
so
some of them are so compelling.
For that thing.
Oh, indeed we do.
Yeah. Now,
and committees.
Now, Joe, looking at the work you're doing, you're past president, so you've gone through virtually all the chairs as far as the program is concerned within your club. How do you sustain that kind of energy and interest and commitment to Kiwanis International, but to the project and to the community over such a long period of time?
Sam, I think it's, as April said earlier, it's the passion of the people involved with the project. To be sure, there are 2 things we don't have a shortage of, and that one is people that need help and people that are willing to serve. As we move through each year, we are always working to re-inspire members who have maybe spent a couple of seasons with us and need to have their inspiration rekindled. But as we move forward and we get new members, a lot of them from the circle or from the K family groups, they come in, they're chomping at the bit, they want to serve, they see in the community those that need to be served, and they're willing to jump in and take hold of these things.
How do you find new members, Cindy, and what is the way that you actually reach into the community to bring people and bring them in and then activate them at the same time?
Well, first, through our club, we build friendships. And getting excited about what we do, you're naturally telling other people about what we do. For instance, with one of our projects at Sharp Health School, we have a fall carnival. This is a school where children have a lot of disabilities. Well, a friend of Brian's is associated with a nursery here in Falls Church, Sam's Nursery. He said, I'd like to donate a few hundred pumpkins. And what a wonderful thing it was for those kids to be able to paint pumpkins, put stickers on them, take those pumpkins home. And now Jack's our newest member. So we reach out through networking. It may be a corporation, a place where you work, whether it's a bank or a governmental organization. You tell your friends about it, and then they want to hear more about the club. They come to a project, to a meeting, and hopefully it becomes infectious.
And in fact,
go ahead.
I was just going to add that I think we're simply just taking advantage of human beings' natural desire,
their inclination
to do good, and we're giving them an outlet.
Yeah, well, that's really wonderful. And looking at your time as being club president, what kind of special skills or special attributes do you think you're able to hone, develop for yourself that has carried over to other members through your club and the other clubs in the district?
Well, I don't know that I honed any special skills. I think I just made a point of showing up, seeing what needed to be done, learning to listen to people, and letting people take control of projects that they wanted to take control of.
Well, that's the Einstein theory of success. Is 90% perspiration, 10% inspiration, but I think the other is showing up is 90% of success as well. Cindy, looking at your work as far as the club, you talked about briefly about the youth organizations that you have, high school and then at university. Tell us about 2 examples of those and maybe what some of the current activities they're involved in.
The Circle K Club at George Washington University is one that exposes us to kids from all over the world, and one of their projects has been to do a service project in Costa Rica. So a couple of years in a row, a bunch of kids went to Costa Rica. They spruced up schools. They provided uniforms for these students who had to have uniforms to be able to go to the school. A lot of the students at GW may not necessarily know what it's like to be in a place where you can't afford a uniform to go to school. So by having them have that experience with people from a very different walk of life is something that brings them back richer people. And one of our members, our board member, Orlando Carvajal, has spearheaded that effort, and we're going to be rewarded next month with a visit as a speaker for one of our club memberships by the ambassador from Costa Rica.
Oh, that is absolutely fantastic. And one of my assistants was just in Costa Rica, and so I'll talk with you about that because we'd like to actually have the ambassador come on the Emerald Planet and talk about what's going on there. So we'll visit about that. But Joe, tell us about the collaborations, the partnerships that you've established as a president, may have existed before that you carried forward, or any new partnerships or collaborations that you've been able to develop? Sure.
A number of collaborations we have, as Cindy said, the strongest ties we have within other K International groups. One is the Circle K at GW, which we're sponsors of, as well as our Wilson High School Key Club. We're the sponsoring club of those. And in a way, they tie into the earlier question you asked about recruiting, because at this moment in the life of Kiwanis International, the largest segments of populations are not the Kiwanis members, but these other organizations. So they're natural feeder groups, almost farm teams, if you will, to Kiwanis. So we retain good ties with them. We have been on occasion known to collaborate in open conditions with the Rotarians, as you well know, and we've been
collaborating for almost 80 years, something like that. We get together for Thanksgiving and share, and that's what led to learning about your Eliminate project. And it's those kinds of collaborations that really just empower and enhance and just enrich all of our lives. The more of that we can do is just very important. And I think Joe and Cindy, both of you need to really be proud of yourselves, the collaborations and the work that you're doing to reach out to other communities.
Well, thank you. And I think it makes sense to do that, because in today's world we're all very busy, and we have calendars that are crammed full of activities. And when we can collaborate, we have opportunities to meet people like you that we might not otherwise have met. So it's really critical to our mission, to your mission, to all the good missions that are out there to be done.
Cindy, I want to ask you, this is really, it's a global question I'm going to ask you. The United States is looked upon as being unique because when we started out as a fledgling nation back in the early 1600s, it was really built on volunteerism. And we've enhanced that. That really goes to the notion of what's called soft power, as far as nation states around the globe, and the United States has used that very judiciously as far as reaching out and helping other people. How do you see that in your work as a club president, the soft power, like the ambassador of Costa Rica, you're doing other kinds of things. How does this help them to better understand the United States, but at the same time to involve their skills and their ideas and their intellect into the challenges that we have in this country?
I'd say probably the best example is our Circle K Club at George Washington University. Annually, we have a networking event where our professionals get together with these students and talk about why we do and what we do, the things we do. And one thing I learned was that so many of the students coming from other countries, a lot of the students there are from China. I asked them why they were involved in the Circle K, and they said they wanted to learn about volunteerism, that they didn't do these kinds of things back home, that their focus was more on themselves. And so they wanted to learn how to do more for other people and take that responsibility and opportunity back home to do good when they go back home.
Yeah, Joe, looking at that, do good, involve the international students in what you're doing, and actually the adults of the international community. What types of adults do you have in your club that would be here on a short-term basis, either with the embassies, the World Bank, International Monetary Fund, or others that may be involved, or somehow has been touched through the Kiwanis Club of Washington, D.C.?
Well, the instinct of your question is correct. We have a wide variety of members from all sorts of professions and backgrounds. We have some that are here, unfortunately, maybe on short term because they'll be moving on to other posts and things.
But they learn about what you're doing, how you're doing, about volunteerism, and we really appreciate the work that you're doing as far as Kiwanis International as we create the Emerald Planet.
She's had more than a dozen fractures. And in the next few years, she faces 2 major surgeries to strengthen her fragile bones. She's only 10 years old. Most people don't worry about fragile bones until late in life. For those with osteogenesis imperfecta, brittle bones are a concern throughout their lifetime. Find out how you can strengthen this child's future.
Diabetes is a killer. After I was diagnosed, I didn't feel sick, so I didn't listen to my doctor. Then it struck. I had a heart attack, then a stroke, and I was only 49.
Most people with diabetes also have high blood pressure and cholesterol, which can cause severe heart damage. In fact, 2 out of 3 people with diabetes die from heart disease or stroke.
Don't let diabetes destroy your life.
Call for your free diabetes survival guide. Choose to live.
to the Inside Scoop Emerald Planet. Here again, your host, Dr. Sam.
Well, welcome to the Emerald Planet as we come to you from Washington, D.C. I'm Dr. Sam Hancock, the President and Executive Director of the organization, as we look around the globe in 143 different nations, looking for the projects, the people, the technologies, and the services that are making a difference. And we have really a very special treat as far as Emerald Planet is concerned. As you know, we really do have a focus on health, on nutrition, and just all the aspects that take care of taking newly created life all the way through to their successful and contributing in their communities and their societies. But without education, without involving the children, it's virtually impossible to plan for a future when we have 9 billion people, 2 billion people added to the number that we currently have by 2050. And so we need to really be engaged with the youth, but engaged with the youth so that actually reaching out and teaching and bringing the parents into what is going on as far as nutrition, health care, and the other needed services. And so I have a young woman sitting beside me, Katie Braden, who is the author, and then Catherine McCall, who is a graphic designer. And they developed a book called Squiggle Squirm. Absolutely fantastic. And this is all about health and nutrition and new life. And this is related to the Eliminate Project, and I'm going to let you talk about that, Katie, in just a minute. And we ought to put a plug in here. I understand the New Jersey, USA District of Kiwanis International went into publishing the first copies of these, and that's a good thing. So Katie and Catherine, welcome.
Thank you.
Glad to have you with us. And starting off, why did you join the Key Club, and what is the Key Club to start with, Katie?
Well, Key Club is a high school service organization. It's the high school version of Kiwanis. And I joined Key Club my freshman year of high school because I really love community service, and I wanted to make a difference and get involved with my school community and make friends that cared about the same things that I do. And I really just wanted to help people out.
Well, that's a lot of dedication at a very young age. So is there something where your parents engaged and involved in volunteerism, or was your mom and dad or both members of Kiwanis International? How did you get this idea that you wanted to reach out to the world through this very direct and personal way?
Yeah, well, my parents actually aren't involved with Kiwanis, but hopefully they will sometime. But I don't know, I just always wanted to help others and really reach out to the world and get people involved, because there's so many important things that need to be solved, and I really think a lot of people need to get involved.
Well, we have a little mini United Nations going on in the studio right now, because sitting right beside you is Catherine McCall, and she's from the Philippines.
Yes.
And so this is really an example of how you can reach out, do good, but at the same time develop not only professional ties, but personal ties, which can enhance our lives. So tell us a little bit about your hometown and your home island back in the Philippines. Put in a plug for that, because it's a beautiful country and I love visiting there. And then we'll talk about graphic design.
Okay, I was born in Maripepe, it's in Leyte, and we moved back to the city. We moved to the city when I was 5 in Tacloban City, and then we stayed there until I came here when I was 16.
When you were 16,
yes.
So you're a recent addition as far as Society of the United States. That's a very good thing. Now tell us, how did you get into be a graphic designer?
I've always liked art and painting, and I thought graphic design was more, it was well known, and you get, I guess it's like, have a lot of job opportunities with graphic design, and I also, just because it was like, it's computer, I like working with computers, and so that's why I picked it.
That's fantastic. Katie, tell us how the two of you get together and come up with Squiggle Squirm.
Yeah, well, actually my older sister worked with Catherine in Whole Foods, so that's how Catherine and I met, and I came up with the idea when I went to my first board meeting in Key Club, and I thought, how could I connect key clubbers to get involved, and how could I raise awareness and raise money for the Eliminate Project. So I came up with the idea for the children's book.
Tell us about, what is Squiggle Squirm?
So Squiggle Squirm is a book, and Wade the Worm is the main character, and he goes off on his own with his friends and without his mother's permission, and they get lost and they struggle to find their way back home. And it involves the two things all kids love, animals and rhymes, so it's really kid-friendly.
Well, looking at this, talks about the graphic designers whose name is actually on this publication. What is involved in creating a book like this and bringing all of your different skills? Because it's not just the computer, it's not just intuitive eye, it's not just knowing about art, it's really the simulation of all of these skills and talents. And how do you do that to create a book? Not many people do that in their lifetime.
Well, at first I was gonna do I wasn't sure what to do with this because we were limited. I could only use 2 colors, so I chose pink and blacks and just muted some of the colors. First I sketched the characters. So I read her story and tried to come up with personalities, and that's when it started. And then after that, I used Illustrator and did the coloring and everything else.
That's incredible. Now, you're very much involved with the Eliminate Project. Tell us, what is the Eliminate Project?
Well, the Eliminate Project is to eliminate maternal and neonatal tetanus. And maternal and neonatal tetanus is found in the soil, and it affects mothers and children, especially when mothers are birthing. That's how the tetanus gets in, and then the babies have only 7 days to live, and they suffer extreme sensitivity to light and touch, so mothers can't even hold their child or comfort them. And it's very unfortunate, but there's a very easy and cost-effective vaccination to cure this disease, and that's what the Eliminate Project is about.
Well, I know, Catherine, I work with a very fine physician down in the Tidewater area of Virginia, Dr. Mataro, and he's famous throughout the Philippines. And but tell us about, do you have this tetanus problem with children and adults in the Philippines? And if yes, what's the consequence of that? If no, why does the Philippines, as a developing country, not have it, and what are you doing right?
Actually, I'm not sure. I'm not familiar. Actually, when I was 5, I actually got a tetanus shot. Because I was playing around and I got scratched by this nail, but I don't think it's that rampant.
So it's something in the Philippines is taken care of, and
yeah,
you don't
but
have
I
to
think
fear
some
that.
parts of the Philippines, they do have that problem, but not where I live, because I live in a city, and it was hospital was more accessible.
Oh, okay.
So.
Well, Katie, how did you get inspired to become part of the Eliminate Project? Because this is really, it's a very sophisticated project. It's global in nature. And here you are, Washington, D.C., creating a book that you're going to sell, and the proceeds are going to go into the Eliminate Project.
Yeah. Well, when I was in Key Club, I then became the Key Club Lieutenant Governor for Division 11.
That's a big deal. That's a lot of work, too.
Yeah, it was a lot of work. But so with that, I went to the International Convention in Arizona. And when I was there, there was an Eliminate Project presentation, and they had an Eliminate video. And that's really what caught my attention and what really inspired me to be more involved with the project.
Yeah. Looking at this, Catherine, as far as the design we have here, I want to go back to that because we're doing this to raise funds for Eliminate. That's,
Yes.
get rid of tetanus. And but yet, this book is really intriguing. So what kind of other lessons that are being shared here with the youth and also the parents that are reading this to their children?
Obey your mother.
Obey your mother. Okay, well, that's that. All of us need to do more of that, right?
Yeah. Well, I think it's fun to have adventures, but sometimes, think before you do something.
Yeah, well, I know I went out on an adventure when I was about 3 years old, took my dogs, and I actually vividly remember that, and it was fantastic. I had a great time. My mom and dad were beside themselves as far as where I was, but as long as I had the dog with me, and we were okay. But obeying mom is something that's very, very important. But looking at this, and as far as the smiles, the ease, the colors that you have in this, Katie, what are you trying to portray to the readers, besides obey your mom?
Well, I really wanted it to come across like for mothers to read this to their children and really connect and see how important the mother-child bond is, so they could really understand and really connect with the cause, so they would understand how people are living and how special their child is to them. So please help somebody else.
So as special as your child, whether you're in the United States or Japan or Norway or Russia, whatever it is, you know, there's tens of thousands, millions of mothers that may not be in the privileged situation, and so get involved in the local community and know more. What do you see, Catherine, in the future for you? You now actually have a book that you can show and say, I did this, you know, that's fantastic. So how do you see this impacting your professional career and moving you forward over, you know, as we move towards 2050?
Yeah, well, I hope I could do more projects like this and maybe even write a book and, you know, donate some of the profits to like some charities. That would be
I think
something that I would like, you know, to do in the future.
Yeah. Katie, looking at what you're doing, and we're getting down to, we're almost running out of time. What do you see for this book, and how do you see the long-term impact of this book on the Eliminate Project?
Yeah, I really hope it raises awareness and a lot more people are aware of the Eliminate Project and what's going on, and I hope that we can raise a lot of money and eliminate maternal and neonatal tetanus.
Well, I tell you, it's absolutely fantastic what you're doing, and we're at the end of our particular program, and you've just been absolutely fantastic to share with us about this project. This is coming as far as the outreach of the Emerald Planet as we work around the globe in 143 different nations, as you know. And so one of the things that we want to do as we go out and we visit these different countries is then in local areas where you have a very active chapter